Hello, wrestling fans, and welcome to the debut episode of the 2300 Pod. Nate Maxson, your host here from the We Can't Wrestle podcast, along with my brother Aaron. Aaron, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am good, and the guy that probably knows ECW better than either one of us, a man who's been on the We Can't Wrestle podcast a couple of times, Mr. Chad Austin. Thank you, sir, for being a part of the 2300 Pod. I appreciate it.
Oh, no problem. I can't wait to destroy some of these shows.
Well, what we're doing in this show is we are going to start at the beginning of ECW on the WWE Network, which the episode is April 6th of 1993. And if all of us are still alive, 7-8 years from now, we will finish up ECW. Every week we're just going to watch the shows. When we get to the pay-per-views, we will also include those. I think it's going to be fun to watch the territory from beginning to end.
Oh yeah, well,
I thoroughly agree because you're going to see a humongous difference in '93. I mean, this is just April of '93. You're going to see a humongous difference come just October of '93.
Yes, because
that's when things are really going to change, and then you're really going to see a definition of what ECW was about.
In April of '93. At this time, Eddie Gilbert is the booker, I believe. Is Heyman even with the company yet?
No.
I didn't think so.
Heyman is probably, in my opinion, not on the payroll, but he's also probably a liaison for Eddie. Because coming from the Continental days. He probably still talks to Paulie. But yeah, Paulie's coming in. And it's not a whole lot of time before Paulie comes in right around this time here.
No, because
saw something.
I remember just from memory that because we see Hot Stuff Incorporated start to begin on this show that we'll get to, but at one point you've got the Hot Stuff Incorporated and the Dangerous Alliance are all like one faction kind of deal going on here coming up shortly, but we'll get to that when it shows up. But I want to, like I said, I want to welcome everybody to the show. Those that are listeners of the We Can't Wrestle podcast, thank you for coming over. Sometimes we might have Archie or Kyle or Chris from the We Can't Wrestle on here as well. It's just going to be a fun thing to do for all of you, the 2300 Pod. And if you don't know why it's called the 2300 Pod, look it up. I don't need to explain it to you. I'm not going to take my time to do that.
Well, anybody listening to this show has probably already been there.
True.
Wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
You know how many? I mean, I can't believe how. Just imagine if that building really was around right now during COVID. Jeez, and imagine if Balls Mahoney was still alive. Oh my God! Good Lord.
So we'll start the show. It starts up with Jay Sully, the announcer for ECW, along with the Stevie Wonderful character. Anybody know anything about Stevie Wonderful other than
I was going to ask Chad if he knows anything about Stevie Wonderful. I
wrote his name down. I wrote his name down.
No fucking idea who Stevie Wonderful is.
I got nothing on Stevie Wonderful. I don't know if he was a worker. If I had my guess, and I just by looking at him, if I had my guess, I would assume he was probably a manager that probably didn't make it as a worker, and he could talk.
I thought he was like Todd Gordon's pool guy or something.
Well, he could have easily been anything to Todd Gordon. Look, I don't know. Yeah, but Stevie Wonderful, I actually have a question mark right next to his name, and I was like,
dude, I do too. Look, like Stevie Wonderful question mark.
Yeah.
That guy.
I got him in the same sentence. I got him in the same comment as Belomo, Nikolai, and Stevie Wonderful. That shows me what kind of class this guy is. He's esteemed in.
And I'll say this about Jay Sully: he seemed like he's an alright guy or whatever, but why? Every sentence the guy has sounds like a question.
I don't have any information on Jay
Terry
Sully.
Funk joining us on commentary.
Every time he talks, it sounds like a question.
Jay Sully, I don't know, because I guess he did TV, and TV was always post-produced. So that's probably why I never had. I mean, at that time, I would have never had an interaction with him anyway. because I was there towards the end of him, but I just never saw him. Like I don't know who the fuck. I don't know who the hell he was. Days? What's that?
Like in the 6-pack Sully days, they started calling him six pack Sully or whatever.
I have no idea. You can tell me whatever you want to tell me about him. I have no idea where it came from. Like,
just every time the guy talks, it sounds like he's asking a question.
Well, I mean, the way I looked at it is Eddie Gilbert's taking this guy's money. He's getting a payday. He's running a company on a shoestring budget, and look at all the talent that he's bringing in. It's all guys that are already there. He's not spending a ton of money. Right. You know, Terry Funk's probably the highest paid. Jimmy Snuka, he was probably lost and just showed up there, and he was like, "Hey, brother," you know. And Eddie Gilbert said, "Hey, you want to work a match?"
This is during that time period where Snuka just worked the East Coast, with Metal Maniac putting him over. Pretty much was the the gist of.
Well, we haven't even got to that match yet. But I want to know who that girl was that just stood outside. It's like she was social distancing him in 1993. I mean, he never mentioned her. Like he never said anything about her, and he put over Eddie Gilbert.
So we get Todd Gordon coming in here with we're going to have a TV title tournament. I never liked that belt. It has no side plates. It looks weird.
I have it written right there. Belt has no side plates.
Yeah, it just looks unfinished. I don't know. It's an ugly deal to me. What do you think, Aaron?
Well, I'll say this. For an inaugural show, at least like right off the bat, they establish, okay, this is our show. We're having a tournament. It might be for this shitty looking belt, but right at the start of it, we have the shitty belt. There's a tournament for the TV title, and we're going to establish that our top feud is going to be Terry Funk and Eddie Gilbert.
Which you can't go wrong with that.
Which the opening segment does. I'm not a wrestling guy. I'm just a fan. But if I'm a fan watching it, I'm like, you know what? They've set it up. They've told you basically what's going on, and they didn't fuck around with it. You know what I mean? It wasn't like a lot of gaga. It was just like, here's this. We're having this tournament, and now Eddie's going to come out and try to trump Terry because he's saying he's the big star, and then it's like, no, you're not. Terry's a bigger star than you, and Eddie's upset about it. So I think this little segment at the beginning of the show was a good way to start it.
Well, I love one of the things that Todd Gordon says, and this is what I wrote down. And I did write down the belt has no side plates. And I was just like, dude, this is the big gigantic piece of concrete on some fake leather. But what Todd Gordon says, we are going to determine the ECW TV champion, and it's going to be ECW style. So what, are you going to have a bunch of guys from the East Coast that work on the weekends just show up? You know what I mean? Like
tournament, yeah.
they haven't defined what ECW style is yet. Right. They're just going to have Johnny Hotbody, Tony Stetson.
It's the Rebel. It's the Journeyman Championship.
Of course. I can't believe Gino Caruso wasn't on there.
We do get Larry Winters later. Legendary.
Oh, I got some notes about Larry Winters. But I did love Terry Funk's suit. I'm telling you, his belt buckle looked like a title that Luther has held. It was like that classic picture you see in the magazine.
With the hands on the hips and the
he's got this belt on it. It's like, come on, like you're proudly defending that.
The first match of the show is the Super Destroyers against the Hell Riders, and that's what my first comment about Funk is. Him and Hunter Q. Robbins III have the same haircut on this night. In 1993.
See, I wanted to ask this because I've wondered this for a long time, and I know you guys, Chad. I know you didn't know anything about Stevie Wonderful. Is there anything about Hunter Hugh Robinson? I have no idea anything other than that. I have no fucking idea who that guy is, where he came from, what he did after. He could be dead for all I know. I have no.
I'll tell you all I know, and this is brutal. This is this is brutal because I didn't want to say this about anybody, and it's not that he did anything heinous. Nothing like that. But I was coming in when he was going out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then I would hear people talk about him, and I'd be like, because at one point there was speculation that he was going to be my manager.
Okay.
Because we did a couple of interviews backstage where he walked up to me and was like, "Hey, I'm Hunter Q. Robbins the third, or whatever, blah blah blah," and then everybody kept telling me, "All right, you ready for this?" That he had bad breath. Like his breath was awful, and nobody wanted to be around him. Like, and I couldn't smell. I can't smell. So I really never knew, and I'm like, "What the fuck?" Like nobody wants to be this guy's friend because they didn't. Like if you were his friend, tell him your breath stinks, pal.
Is that why Funk called him Hunter Q. Robinson the turd?
Turd, yeah, I wrote that down too. Because I wrote at first. I wrote, did Terry Funk say turd? Question mark.
Yeah, he called him.
And then I wrote
Hunter
right
Q.
afterwards,
Robinson the turd.
and then I said, yeah, he did say turd.
Halitosis Q Robbins.
But that was all I've ever heard bad about him. But I don't have any interaction with him, and I really felt bad for him for that. Like I really thought that was like, man, that's kind of unfair, dude. Like we all work together, and tell the fucking dude.
Buy him some Tic Tacs. Yeah.
Yeah, you stink. Just tell him that.
He's managing the Super Destroyers.
Oh yeah. Do you know who they were by any chance?
Oh, that's what I was going to ask. Who are those guys?
I know who they are. One of them was a guy named Doug Stahl, who actually wrestled as a Super Destroyer before. Not big time money territories, but like major independents. And the other guy was AJ Petrucci.
I've heard his name before.
For the WWF in the 80s as a job guy.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up working independent shows with him because he's remember that fucking dude in the WWE? Oh, Jesus Christ. Gene Slot. What's his name?
Snitsky?
Snitsky. Gene Snitsky with the back knee.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't his fault. Yeah, that guy.
It was the mat wasn't clean. That AJ Petrucci was like his uncle or something. And we worked on a bunch of shows together, and he was telling me how great Gene was doing and blah blah blah. And I'm like, so you're AJ Petrucci? Like you can see yourself on a whole lot of beginnings of TV shows. As the guy on the mat.
Right.
Like, wow, I wish I had a career like that. Every single week. I'm on TV every single week.
Every week.
I'm the guy laying right there where Jimmy
whether you just see the bottom of my boots or not, I'm the guy on TV every week.
and see,
but all them guys were just on their way out, man. And it was kind of sad to see for me. But we are getting ready to come up with something that's I think is fantastic.
But let me ask, and I'm a novice, obviously, with wrestling. I'm not a worker or anything like that. But when I watched this Super Destroyers Hellraisers match or Hellriders match, I might be wrong, but I thought the fucking ring looked really small.
Well, how about this? I'll tell you this right now as I'm looking at it right now.
It didn't look like a normal. It didn't look like a normal 20x20 type ring. It looked really fucking small.
It wasn't. And here's the funny thing that I wrote down: Hellriders equals ? I don't know who they are. And then I see HD Rider can only hit the ropes in an 18-foot ring. That was an 18-foot ring, and the reason why I know that is because we used to use that ring for many, many, many years. And I guess maybe coming up in the near future, when you start seeing guys like the Wolfman on the show, that's because him and Max Thrasher, Phil Wobblesberger is his real name, that was their ring. And they rented it to ECW. I love that ring. It's a bumpers ring. It's so old, nobody ever fixed anything of it. they just let him just fall apart.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a great bumpers ring, and it had cables, like one of the earlier East Coast rings that had cables. Most of them had like boxing gym ropes and shit.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a good ring. But yeah, when I saw that HD Rider guy hit the ropes and he did the 1-2 turnaround step, I knew he'd only been trained in a small ring.
So that begs me a question to ask, because Aaron said us not being workers and you being, when you say bumpers ring, is that because it's more, it has more give? Is that what you're saying? Like it has more give when you take the bump, or
it's got a more forgiving give.
Okay.
Like you can bump pretty much anywhere in it. You ain't got to bump in the middle every single time to get a good bump. And the ropes, to me, I like cable, but I also like the sponge around the cable. Like you wrap it with the sponge and then you tape it up, because you can really hit them hard. And I like it. I mean, you probably you watch them old WWE like openings of the shows where the guy gets thrown into them ropes, and they go like way deep into the ropes. Well, these are cables, so they are going to send you back.
Right
back to the middle of the ring. So yeah, I like that, because with the rope you can almost kind of go like, nah, I don't think I'm going back. Come get me here, man.
Up next, a video about the Sandman.
And it's a bunch of his Memphis shit.
Yeah, it was about. I have that written down. A lot of Memphis footage here.
Well, that's pretty much the best of the Sandman. I mean, the best of that Sandman.
Right.
Which actually, in the video, it actually shows Hack as being pretty goddamn decent in the ring. Like he's doing moves and shit. Like I'm a knob. I keep saying novice or whatever, but like I didn't know that. Shouldn't say I didn't know, but like Hack actually was a wrestler per se. Like he's working with Lawler, and I think I saw Jeff Gaylord in the video and shit. I didn't know that Sandman was.
Well, who was the ring general in the match with Jeff Gaylord?
That's what I'm asking you, man. Like I haven't worked.
I can understand you telling me about Jerry Lawler. Yeah, Jerry Lawler can drag a good match out of fucking anyone. Yeah. But you said, with Jeff Gaylord.
Hey, he's in there with fucking Gaylord. I saw Gaylord in the fucking video. I'm just saying, like, this video, it looks to me like basically they just put Hack's like audition tape on the.
Of course they did.
No, right?
Like this company's only had like 4 shows. I mean, I'm guessing.
And he's the champ. Like Sandman's the champ.
Well, don't worry, because Tommy Cairo is undefeated. I mean,
they mention that a lot.
Oh yeah, and you're like, seriously, he had to have lost in something. Anything, like he's undefeated. Like that's like his gimmick name. Yeah, but the Sandman thing. As soon as I saw the first glimpse of Sandman, I said they're using the Memphis promo with the star in the back and everything. And I'm like, and the rib is this dude's got to carry this surfboard around with him like every night.
Like, I never thought about like every time I like. What do I want to say? Like when I think of like Sandman, I don't think of like the Mid-South Coliseum, but here I am watching a fucking video where he's working the Mid-South Coliseum. I don't think of Sandman in the Mid-South Coliseum like those.
No, I mean unless he was
in my mind,
you found him there. Like unless he showed up there and you just found him laying there somewhere.
And then there's another piece of trivia. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Dave Brown has been on ECW in the background of this video.
Yeah, I mean, Sandman, like, that was at a time, man, honestly, like, people like Sandman, Taz was there, Sabu was there, Van Dam was there. I'm sure there was many more guys that came from out of that same, cut out of that same cloth from, the ECW guys. I'm sure there was. But the deal was, Axel was there, Ian was there. Like, they only lasted, like, you can get, like, maybe 2 months out of it.
Mm-hmm.
You do a month of beating up the fucking job guys. I'm sorry, you can't say job guys anymore. The enhancement talent, and then you do a loop with the stars. And if you're not going over, then you're losing every night. And then afterwards, you get the hotel room. That's why I used to like to unplug my phone in my hotel room when I was working in Memphis, because that way they couldn't call and fire me.
Avoidance.
Yeah, because they would call me, and they would call you at like 10 o'clock in the morning, and because they know you were going out and get fucked up. And I was like, I'm not answering the fucking phone. I'm unplugging this bitch. And then I would call like whoever the guy working in the office was. They'd be like, hey, what's the dates? Well, he only got like one date for you in December. And I'm like, well, it's October. Like, what do you want me to do? Yeah, that's the way it works, man. But yeah, Sandman was there. He had his run. Like everybody gets a run with Lawler. Sandman got his run with Lawler, and apparently he didn't leave a bad taste in Lawler's mouth, because he worked with him again, I believe, in ECW later on.
Yeah. So,
what about the Cosmic Commander?
Ah, yes, I have on my notes. Cosmic Commander, dollar store Grand Wizard.
I wrote, the TV tournament with Tommy Cairo versus Sal Balomo with the Cosmic Cookie.
Cosmic Cookie. Was that guy? Was that sign guy Dudley in that getup? It looked like him to me.
No, I don't think it was, because do you remember the show where Funk wrestled Gilbert, and it was ECW versus WWA at the Philadelphia Hotel?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's where I met the Cosmic Commander, and I just thought he was just some fucking goofy dude. But then
he had like a big stupid. In this thing, he had like a big stupid fucking like turban and like fish head glasses.
He was the Grand Wizard. Is what he was. Because he was trying to be the Grand Wizard, but I mean, when I met him, he wasn't a bad dude. I got to tell you, he wasn't a bad dude. Mm-hmm. But I was just going like, you're the Grand Wizard, like, and where the fuck did you buy that fucking thing on your head? Because I want one.
Did they have Spirit Halloween back then?
like a Make-A-Wish kid.
I don't understand why he really didn't go even a little bit further. Mm-hmm. Like, why didn't
probably
Paul
his
bring
stupid hat and dumb glasses?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Maybe never mind. But during the Cairo Balomo match, did you see how he said it's presented in its original form due to like whatever? So it had a couple of tracking issues. Like, they're really bailing out on that. Like, for now on, every time I send somebody a tape or a DVD, I gotta send a disclaimer.
Like, sorry.
presented in the most original form.
Yeah, then I got it. It's like 5th generation. It's been passed around since 1983. And you expect me to send you some, like, I'm going to air this quality? It's not my fault they don't fucking keep their shit.
And see, like, with this match, I'll say this, like, if we're going to get into the match, like, Tommy Cairo, I actually really like Tommy Cairo.
Me too.
So do I.
I wish he would.
I don't want to marry him or anything, but I like Tommy Cairo, and I don't understand why he never had a shot. And if he did, I don't remember it. But I don't know why the guy never had a shot in like WCW or WWE.
Dude, I actually had to work him, and he had to put me over. And we'll come across that on the ECW review show. And I didn't want to do it because I didn't think I deserved. I didn't think I deserved it. I was like, "What are you talking about? This is this what the fuck?" And Paul, I think what it was I think he was too much into the family thing. I mean, if I had to guess, and that to me is probably
so he was like a homesteader.
Yeah, I think that's what it was, because he didn't want to put it in the time, and I don't know if he had any financial, interest in the company. I don't know, but yeah, I actually didn't want to. I didn't want to go over on Tommy Cairo. When Paulie said it, I was like, what are you talking about?
I think in like a 94, 95, Tommy Cairo, he might have not been like the WWF like Intercontinental Champion or something, but he could have been a good like worker in the company.
Yeah, put him on the road.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like give him a small downside, you know, and then throw him on the road so we can make some extra money. You know, he's a good hand. That's what you call him, right?
Yeah. And in this match, like, why did they feel the need to protect fucking Sal Balomo and have him get counted out? I don't understand that.
I thought it was funny the whole match that Terry Funk called him Salvador Balomo. The whole match, he's Salvador Balomo.
I don't know. For some reason, somebody there, I don't know if Todd and Sal had some vested interest in Sal's whatever. Like, he was like the guy. Who's the guy like from Pinocchio that made Pinocchio?
Geppetto?
Yeah, he was like Geppetto because he made all these like wood carvings and shit out of his garage and stuff.
Well, they have that. There's an episode of WWF Tuesday Night Titans where he makes that boat or whatever. Like
well then they're not lying then.
No. It's actually throughout the whole episode. He's just sitting at a table making a boat. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, he made all
Balomo making the little fucking boat out of the WWF magazine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He made all this stuff for all these kids and stuff. Like, he ran like some jabroni toy store where he made all these, like, you know.
And later on, when he's wearing the stupid helmet and he's like throwing the fucking stuffed animals out at the kids, Sal Balomo's fucking terrible.
I will say this: I really wish that Sal Balomo would have been one of the guys that Eddie would have or Paul would have kept, because he really did go crazy. Like when Bob Backlund went crazy, like Sal Balomo was.
I was right there with him.
Yeah, them two they were in the same car.
Well, okay. In this match, let me ask something about this guy, right? And this is a guy that I used to read about in like PWI and everything. And Nate knows, because Nate's older than me and he's my brother, and he knows that I had a little bit of interest in this guy, and I wanted to know if Chad knew anything about him. Wrestler gets involved in this match. Is there any stories on Johnny Hotbody?
Oh, well, yeah, you can. Well, we're going to cover that one shortly. I can tell you that. He gets
involved in this Tommy Cairo Sal Balomo clusterfuck. He gets involved in it.
That didn't last too long, because once we get to him wrestling me, that's the last you're going to see of Johnny Hotbody. and it's not my fault. I had nothing to do with it. Like I did this spot to him where I was a job guy. I mean, I'm sorry, I was talent enhancement. God damn. Give myself some fucking credit over here. But I had this spot where I did the flip off the top rope, like to the floor. Mm-hmm. You know, the dive. Just a big fucking dive. And I got up on the top rope, and wait till we get to the episode and you see my hand where I'm kind of like massaging the ring post, because you can just tell I'm not comfortable because of how far down it is. Because the ring apron was like way higher than everybody else's ring apron. And I wiped him out with the dive. I crushed him. Like, I just wiped him out because we didn't have pads. I just did the whole entire flip off the top rope, and it was way more than 15 feet. It would have had to have been. It would have had to have been closer to probably 17, 18 feet with apron and everything else, and how big it was brutal. And I crushed him. And I felt so bad, but, you know, he was okay. And then he kind of pushed me in the ring, and he gave me the stump buster thing where you sit on your head and pull your leg up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Paul liked my dive so much that he cut the finish out and pretended like Johnny Hotbody was knocked out. And I was just like, "Oh boy, I'm going to get heat. I'm going to get heat for this." But we'll get to that one. because I did have to work him again.
And he probably wasn't too pleased.
Ew, that's an L.
So up next,
but you know what we got coming up next?
we got Johnny Hotbody, or not Johnny Hotbody. We got Rockin' Rebel next.
Rockin' Rebel. I'm not going to try to interrupt anybody. But I'm going to say this, and I know that it's probably not the most popular thing to say because of the way shit ended with him or whatever. But in my opinion, taking away everything from the end of it, fucking Rockin' Rebel, in my opinion, was a great fucking heel woman. I love fucking Rockin' Rebel. And I don't know why that guy, and I know I said it with like a couple other people, like with like Tommy Cairo, but seriously, I'm saying with like Rockin' Rebel, I think that guy should have been a bigger deal than what he was.
What, in ECW or in the business?
In the business. And ECW in general, but just in the like no. I don't know.
No. No, but go ahead. Tell me why you think he should have been.
I just think he had a good build, and he had a great. I don't want to say great, but he had a good delivery, and in my opinion, as a fan, he performed well in the ring. I just think. I enjoy watching Rockin' Rebel in the ring, and I enjoy watching his promos.
Well, I'll say this. And was, and always will be a good friend of Chuck on whatever the circumstances are. I inducted him to a Hall of Fame. And I had to write the fucking material for him, and believe me, I buried him.
Yeah.
And this is while he was still alive. If Chuck was as good in the ring as he was pissing people off, he probably would have gotten the job. But he just insisted on just being a dick.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Like, is that the reason why he didn't get more advanced in his career? Like, was he like I don't understand. What I'm trying to say is like. Fundamentally, and promo wise, and everything like that, it seems like the guy had everything going for him. But
he had a very good look. He had all the verbal talent. He just was a dick, and he wouldn't take anybody's advice or whatever. Mm-hmm. He was and his gimmick is that he owned the license. If you watch ECW, and we'll get into this, and we'll talk about it as we go along, that the more and more you see ECW shows come on, and you're going to start seeing the guys like Johnny Hotbody and Tony Stetson and them guys weed out, you're going to notice Rockin' Rebel's still there.
Yeah. Because
he had the license for Pennsylvania.
Oh, yeah.
So Paul had to use them. So once Paul could finally get a license is when he kind of bailed him out, because Rebel's, dude, I love Rebel, but he is a dick. He really is. He'll sabotage a match, he'll fucking rib you, he'll do all that shit. So yeah, he rubbed people the wrong way, but not me, because we worked a lot around each other.
Like I said, I wasn't trying to knock the guy or say anything against him. I was just saying, I, and now that you've said that he kind of had a
attitude problem.
That might be the reason why that maybe the WWE wasn't, or WWF time wasn't hey, let's use Rebel. He might have been.
I'm pretty sure he did TVs. There's got to be some tapes out there of him doing TVs, because there's no chance they would have not taken a look at him. They would have had to have. But I mean, I'm just saying.
But what I'm saying is the reason they wouldn't have went further with it was because he wasn't a conformist type thing.
Yeah, he wouldn't like. He would have been like, "What the fuck?" Because like, not a whole lot of people say "fuck" more than me.
Why the fuck do I have to put over doink?
Yeah, what the fuck?
Like that
It's
type
what
of
the
thing.
fuck? Yeah, it's that kind of thing, and you got to conform in that environment.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a huge, like I said, I even put on my notes that I'm a huge Rock and Rebel fan, man. I think that guy, if he would have, now that I know that you said he wasn't like a conformist, but like if he would have been like a good citizen or whatever, I think that guy could have been a bigger deal, in my opinion.
Of course he could have. I mean, even if he wasn't, he was close enough to 250 pounds that he looked like he was 250 pounds.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and that mullet, come on. That's a mullet.
Oh, it's a fantastic mullet. He has a fantastic mullet.
You would have to get some sort of illustrator and and draw that mullet on, because it was fantastic. And when he would fluff it and he would stand there and like, yeah, but he was Chuck, but he was from, like, what got me was he was from the rock and roll capital.
Yeah.
He was from fucking like Valley Forge, Pennsylvania, or somewhere close to that. But yeah, I mean, I love Chuck. He would have just never worked in a major league locker room.
You guys had a good conversation about Rebel. What I'll say about him, I think, is to what Aaron said. I think he like, to that, if he didn't have he was really good at exuding heel heat. Like, I mean, he could have been a heat seeker,
It was real heat. It was just real heat.
Now that I know it was real life. So he has a match here with Tony Hitman Stetson.
Yeah, and I wrote my note says tore it down. And then I have a couple of smiley face emojis. So apparently they must have been a tore it down.
And maybe not. Stetson, East Coast guy. To me, just, I don't know, not a fan of that dude. But I guess I've never seen enough of him to be a fan or not a fan. He's just kind of there to me in these shows. I don't know if you knew him or not, Chad. Tony Stetson.
I teamed with him against I think 911.
Oh boy.
Like, no, I don't think it was me and Tony against 911. I think it was me and Tony against like Donnie Allen and like Joel Hartgood, and then 911 came out.
So what we saw on TV was just the 911 stuff. More than likely.
No, because we'll get to it. Mm-hmm. But I remember there was a night where Paulie put us together on purpose, and he wanted us to fuck up, so the crowd would yell 911.
Okay.
And he literally put me in charge of booking the match, and I was like, "This is what we're going to do. We're going to do a couple of fuck up spots where we kind of run into each other, and it looks terrible. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I mean, you know how a bad spot goes, right?" Mm. Yeah, and then we were going to do that, and then we were going to make it look like we just got lost, and then Joey Styles was going to be yelling how bad the match is, and then the crowd would just start yelling 911, you know, and then like literally I couldn't have been so happier because Paul was like, Chad, I want you to book this, and Tony's was around longer than me, right? Donnie was around probably just as long as me. It probably worked as more than me, and I don't even know the other guy, honestly. I don't remember who it was. But you know what I mean? Like that was the way it was. But wait till we get to that and you watch it, because we did just enough. Like, we didn't make it look like independent wrestling fake.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So now we have the Superfly, Jimmy Snuka.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sure we'll get to the last time you were on the show, or not the last time, maybe the second to last time you were on the show, you told us your story about your situation with Snuka. Last time you're on We Can't Wrestle, so we'll save that story for the 2300 pod listeners for when we get to that. But Superfly here, being a heel, and I know for me, being a guy that was born in '78. I became a fan around '83 when I was 5. To me, in my brain, before I got older and started watching older stuff, Snuka was always the babyface Jimmy Snuka. So seeing him as a heel in ECW was kind of weird for me back then. You know, I hadn't experienced.
I don't think he even knew he was a heel.
Like you said, he probably didn't even know where he was at.
No, he probably. I mean, do the math. When would him and Eddie Gilbert have? When would their paths have crossed?
I don't.
And what territory?
Like never. I don't. Unless maybe late, like in the early '80s WWF, maybe when
I have
Eddie
a match.
Eddie and
I have a
were there.
match from like 1990, late '91, early '92. It's a tag team match, and it's Eddie Gilbert and somebody against Jimmy Snuka and somebody, and the two somebodies are just local somebodies.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't believe they even got in a ring together, but that would be the only time that I can picture them like their paths crossing.
Right.
Because, their territory that either one of them's been in, they would have been in there at the same time.
Like I said, the only I could think of, and I'd have to go back and look at time frames, Eddie was in the WWF or the WWF in the early 80s. He did that tag team with Hennig, but I don't know.
Yeah, but he was well, yeah, you're right. But when he came in, was Snuka a heel or a babyface?
I think he was.
Or was
still
it right in the middle of the change?
Yeah, I think he was still with. When he was with. Was he with Albano? I don't even remember now. I'd have to go back.
Sorry, guys. What are you talking about?
We're talking about Snuka and Eddie Gilbert.
Honestly, I don't think that Eddie Gilbert had any interaction with Eddie Gilbert in that time period, because I think they were going on two separate paths.
Yeah, they had no interaction until fucking Eddie came out and said, "Hey, Jimmy's part of Hot Stuff Inc. now."
Jesus Christ! I can't believe he didn't call me. If the first guy you're looking at is Jimmy Snuka, I mean, who is coming out next? Jimmy Valiant?
Well, let me ask. And I know I took myself out of the conversation here for a minute, but let me ask a question. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Either one of you. This is the inaugural ECW episode, and Chad, you could answer this better than either one of us. Who would you say is more important? Like if you're looking at it as at a wrestling standpoint, who's more important as a star? As okay, this is our show. This is what we're doing. This is who we got. Who's more important, Jimmy Snuka, Terry Funk?
Terry Funk.
If that makes sense.
I would have thrown Sal Balomo in there. Because you saw him as much as anybody else. I mean, the show closes with Balomo.
It starts. Yeah, I understand that, but I'm just saying, like, me. Okay, Sal.
Well, I think. All right, this is kind of hard to say, like, without fucking people's names up, because I don't want it to be that way. But I think Jimmy Snuka served his purpose by being there. Mm-hmm. I think that Gilbert and Todd got a good deal from Jimmy for various reasons, and I think that Terry Funk was their long-term go-to.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like if you're booking it, okay, it's like I have this group of guys, and now I have these two established stars. Like, so you'd say that if you're looking at it as this is the guy that I'm going to get people to keep watching. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah. But you see how they're starting Funk out as an announcer.
Yeah.
Like that's how. And do you want to? Whose idea do you think that was? You think that was Eddie's idea, or you think that was Terry's idea?
I think it was probably Terry's idea.
Yes, it was Terry's idea. And as soon as Gilbert heard it, he said, "Abso-fucking-lutely. Mm-hmm. This is how we do it." You know, because they build like it's like. I mean, did you guys ever play with Legos? Did you never? Did you ever? Shit. Yeah. Did you know how to build that gas station Lego set in a minute? No, it took you like a weekend. You're like, how the fuck do you build this fucking thing?
I was like, hey,
how does the nozzle even fit?
We're gonna have Funk and Gilbert have their problem, and then we're gonna build like Funk and Snuka is what I thought they were doing. And they might get there. I don't remember if they do or not. But
yeah, I don't think Snuka was ever figured in like long term.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was just a name you throw on the poster. And you know what I mean? You know, because wait, you'll see Road Warrior Hawk. Wait till you see Road Warrior Hawk.
Well, I would say, and as time goes on, Don Morocco, same boat.
Yeah, and what are the? Well, I mean, if you want to run down the list, yeah, you see them all, but you know, they all none of them had long term.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they were just there. They were just names on the show because we had these other guys, and that was the good thing about the cleansing. Like when Paul took over.
Mm-hmm.
Like he knew how to move out. He knew how to move out certain talent and interchange it with newer talent because, like, dude, I mean, we're getting ready to talk about. Well, I had a comment about some cameraman you just see creeping in the middle of Jimmy Snuka's interview. He just comes sneaking through. But then, there's a Larry Winters match that's on, like next.
Yeah,
against
Snuka.
That was against Snuka? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Larry Winters was there from the early days of the tri-state areas. You know? Like, who like he was there from you probably never even heard of the NWL.
NWL? No.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember seeing Larry Winters' name in PWI 500s, and then, of course, get to ECW, and I saw him on there. But, yeah, other than that, I didn't know a whole lot about the dude.
Well, there was a company in like New Jersey, Philadelphia area called NWL. And you remember Damian Kane? Is that name ring a bell?
Damian Kane?
Yeah, he ran the company.
He was with Miss Alexandria.
What's that?
And his manager was that Miss Alexandria.
Oh, I guess I don't.
Yeah.
And he had the bad crew.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Miss Alexandria. I don't know. Was she really Miss Alexandria? Was that like a beauty contest thing?
Well, I think that was her. He had a valet or whatever. I think that's
a girl, a gimmick. All right, I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. But he ran a company in like Jersey and like Philadelphia where he would bring in Brody and like Abdullah and the Sheik, and that's where Goodhart got his start. It's called the NWL.
Okay.
I think it's on YouTube. If not, it's called Scar Wars. Is the episode, and if you can't find it on YouTube, I have it. But that to me is like the fucking is the Flint from the whole entire East Coast. You know what I mean? The spark.
Mm-hmm.
Like what the fuck? We're all bloodthirsty, and then you get Goodhart coming out there with the fucking Sheik and Abby. I mean, these people are paying $20 to see these two fucking guys that are in their 50s, late 50s.
Yeah,
like,
I was going to say pushing
just
60.
walk around the ring. Like, walk around the ring is all they're going to do. You know, it's like, what the fuck? But these people love that kind of shit, and that's the kind of shit these people love, so they're going to pay for it. So
right.
Eddie Gilbert figured out how to, like, look, some of these guys are halfway decent, some of these guys aren't. And then the deal with Eddie and Paul, I don't have any information about that. So you can't serve me enough Fireball to get me to talk about that shit because I got nothing on that. And I don't even want to know because my life could be in danger if I knew too much about that. But I thought, but after watching like the Snuka and the Winners match, I really thought that Stetson could have been a better character.
Mm-hmm.
I thought Larry Winters was a better worker, like as far as taking his bumps, but I thought Stetson could have worked out better if somebody would have came up with a character for him.
Right.
Moving on but neither one of them. The only two moving on they did was they moved on from the arena back to their fucking houses. They ain't go anywhere else. But then I wrote, "Oh no." Right after that.
Oh no?
Yeah.
Here comes Sal.
Well, he's one of the stars. I mean,
I mean, yeah. I mean, when you think about it, kind of the bookend. we got more. Somebody wanted to push Sal Balomo at this point in time, and that must have been Eddie.
No, I do. That was Todd.
Yeah, Todd was probably a Sal Balomo mark. Liked him when he was a kid and wanted to do something with him.
Well, I think because Sal had his little toy shop in the same neighborhood that Todd had his jewelry store.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they never lost contact with each other. Like when Todd started thinking about rolling, dude, I really wrote "Oh no" in real big letters. Like, I'm looking at it right now. I'm just going, Jesus Christ.
And there's nothing wrong with wanting to take care of your friends. I mean, that's okay.
No.
Of course. I mean, because, you think of the name. Todd's like, yeah, Sal Balomo was a big name 42 years. But but we can resurrect it. And you know how we're going to do it? We're going to put him in the ring against Hervé Renesto.
Renesto.
or actually, I underscored the guy's name that he beat up because he's the guy that saves me from getting beat up by Stan Hansen. Because he had two different names. Like, I think when he wrestled on this match, when he was Old Node against Balomo, I think he was Hervé Renesto. And then the one night when they brought me in, and it may have been my debut night. It really could have been. And I looked at the lineup and it said Stan Hansen versus Chad Austin, and I went, I don't want to do this.
I'd have puked.
Right? I probably damn well could have, because we'll get to this because it somehow winds up in the opening of the TV show. So I'm just glad it wasn't me. And all of a sudden I walk over to Stan and I'm just like, hey man, and he tells me, he said, listen, I just want to tell you right now, I'm blind. Yeah. I can't see what I'm hitting, and I don't hit what I'm seeing. And I went, oh, that's very, very, hopeful. And then, like 5 minutes before the match starts, I walk up to the thing, and I see my name scratched out, and it says Hervé Benicio. And then I look in the locker room, and I go, who the hell is Hervé Benicio? Because I know that Paul's not going to send me out there as Hervé Benicio. Because, I'm a Polish guy. There's no way I'm a Hervé Benicio. And then it come to find out it was Benicio Renesto, whatever. And Stan ends up taking his lariat and tying him to the fuck. You guys have all seen the insert.
Yeah.
Where he ties the guy to the ring post and he's headbutting him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was supposed to be Chad Austin.
And I'm telling you right now, I don't hit what I'm seeing. I don't see what I'm hitting. Should be a T-shirt. It's a missed opportunity. That's a great thing to say.
All you saw was my throat just go, oh, like just drop, and I just said because he's on the list of the guys that I never ever wanted to work. It's Hanson, Brody, Abby, Sheik.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of them lists. Like, I don't want anything to do with any of this. I don't want you to fucking I didn't have a problem with New Jack because New Jack I could possibly at least fall back, but the other guys, nothing was going to happen there. What was I going to do? So they were on my list of what am I going to do against Abdullah? Say no. Stop stiffing me, fat motherfucker.
Yeah.
Or I'll punch you in the face. That wasn't going to happen.
And your ribs suck too, by the way, Larry.
But all in all, I thought it was. I mean, are we going to do a grade thing for this, or?
Well, I was just going to ask final thoughts before we wrapped up. Because my final thought on it was watching this. You're watching the beginning seeds of ECW, but at this point, really, watching this show is almost like watching any other '90s independent organization, like you were alluding to earlier. You got your guys whose names you put on your poster, and then you have your every show local guys, and. That it felt like any other indie show I watched during that time period, and obviously that's going to change. But you're right. There's we're going to get to an exodus of a lot of talent here coming up, and
well, I'll say my opinion before Chad puts his on, or I can vice versa. I would say this, that I would say in this show, they, like I said, at the beginning of the show, they established their tournament. Okay, we're having this tournament, and then we have these two big stars, Terry Funk and Eddie Gilbert, and we're gonna have this feud, and this is the basis of what our show is gonna do. And honestly, in this, and I know it's 38. I'll say this: it's 38 minutes on the WWE Network. In 38 minutes, these guys did more than what fucking Raw does now in 2 hours and 38 minutes.
yes, and it was more entertaining.
And it was more entertaining. Like, they said, this is what the show is, this is what the feud is, and this is what the storyline going through is. So they showed you more and did more in 38 minutes than what the WWE does now in 2 hours and 38 minutes, in my opinion.
My turn?
Yes, sir.
Well, I kind of disagree with that because I think 38 minutes was way too short, and there's no way you can put that up against 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, 3 hours is still 38 minutes or two or whatever. It's over an hour and a half, right? Or it's an hour and a half.
Yeah,
It's I think it rounds out at about 2:15 probably.
Okay, whatever. Yeah, that's kind of like they have to be really bad. And if you're gonna do more than 38 minutes, which I agree, they did a lot, but they had a lot of production issues, not just with the WWE thing, but if you watch the timing of the show, there was still like 6 minutes when it went off the air because they just kept leaving the graphic up there. Like, like they didn't have anything else. They couldn't put a Hunter Q. Robinson video or a promo up there.
but what I'm saying is they still established a story that made you want to watch it again.
Well, establish a story is not what they did. They planted a seed for a story because it was their first. It was their first.
I'll give you that.
What's that?
So I'll give you that, but I'm just saying, it made me want to watch it again.
Because it's not like the show's been on for weeks and weeks and weeks, and everybody's going, "Well, I wonder what Gilbert's going to do here," because it was the first show. It's like, wow, they're going to plant the seed. Oh, Gilbert's going to make this fucking Hot Stuff and Hyatt. I think I'm in that Hot Stuff and Hyatt International. I haven't got a phone call in a while. Oh yeah, I forgot that he died like fucking 27 years ago. But you know what I mean? It's just they had like some of the timing issues weren't there, and that's going to come. That's not that's not really anything to really bitch about. That's going to happen. But yeah, you're going to start seeing all these guys getting like shipped away and all. But all in all, I would say it was a solid. I don't know. I mean, if we're doing 1 out of 10, I would do a 6.5. If I was doing stars, I would do 3 and I don't know, quarter.
Mm-hmm.
Is that fair? I mean,
definitely.
Sal Palomo was that extra quarter. 'Cause I got to see him out there a couple times. Anytime you throw some guy that has no idea what the fuck he's. No, I'm not kidding. He has no idea what the fuck he has going on. When he shows up, he looks like that. He don't come on a suitcase, and then you wonder who's driving him, and then all of a sudden he has his match, and he just walks out back, and you don't see him anymore. And nobody goes. Actually, I think one time Hack said, "Anybody seen Sal?" And everybody was like, "No." And then somebody made a comment about him like leaving on one of his toy fucking wooden like cars or whatever. and if I'm not mistaken, that was probably the last time that I've ever seen him. But yeah, I mean,
he rode off into the sunset in his wooden car. That's fantastic.
ECW, it's going to get better, and we're clearly going to see it as we go on because we've all seen the stuff already, and we know what they're capable of. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like Eddie had nothing to work with. I mean,
right?
Like, what if somebody says, "Okay, we have I don't know, just say $5,000 budget. You got to pay maybe $2,000 to the fucking building."
Mm-hmm.
Or, I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. And how much? What do you think Terry Funk's coming in?
Yeah, he's not working for Cheetos. That's for sure.
Yeah, he's not. He's not passing through on his way to. I just figure I'd stop by, and if you have any work for me,
this is the guy that quit working for Vince McMahon by leaving him a note that his horse was sick. So he's not.
Yeah.
Well, that's like in that documentary, the Hardcore Homecoming or whatever. The documentary, he's basically told Todd Gordon, he's like, "Hey, what if you want me to come up here? It's gonna bankrupt your company."
Yeah, I mean, because I'm sure Terry was going to be on a salary.
Yeah,
I'm sure Terry wasn't going to be on a because if you're going to get honestly, I mean, this is my opinion and my opinion only. If you're going to get Terry and Funk invested in your company and you want him involved in long-term plans, you have to book him on a salary. That way, you can book him whenever you need to have him.
Right.
You don't let him book from some. Don't let him get booked from some fucking, I don't know, outlaw, company, where it fucks up the date where you go, I can't make it. Well, fuck you, I'm paying you X amount of, and it's probably $1,000+ dollars a week that, I want you to be exclusive because we'll see it as we come along. Terry Funk did a lot of exclusive shit for ECW. Right.
Yeah.
Where I'm sure, because Eddie Gilbert loved him. And I'm sure you're going to see him start coming up more and more and doing promo stuff. But I thought it was a decent show, especially for a first show on an independent jabroni network like Philadelphia. I don't know what it's called, Sports something
or other.
Sports Time, Ohio, or wherever. Yeah.
Well, that is it. We are done with the first episode of the 2300 Pod, and I think it went really well, guys. Thank you for joining me. Thank you all for joining us. And
you're welcome.
We look forward to many, 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 many more episodes of ECW. Chad, thank you for being here, and I'm excited to get this show started.
Well, I can't wait to be on the show next week because I really had a great time going back and watching it on the network, the old episode, and seeing little things that I didn't recognize the first time that I watched it. And I can't wait to move forward to when we get to the shows that I was at.
Yes.
And I could have a little more insight. But yeah, this has been a fantastic journey, and I really can't wait to move on.
All right, thank you everybody for joining us, and it's going to be April 13th, 1993 next week on the second edition. Thank you for joining us once again on the 2300 Pod, and we will see you next week.